So, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Mandela Day. Thank you for choosing to spend a couple of hours with us on the topic Business Support Training Growing Your Business Beyond Borders. I am Chugo Ayaji. I am an energy consultant, but working the span of SDGs from gender advocacy to sustainability and environmental support. I am here with a team of experts to speak to us on the topic of business training. And today we have them one by one, but just before we go in to sort of present the topic for today, growing your business beyond borders. We all know that the COVID pandemic has exposed deep inequality in our world today and has impacted everyone from governments to individuals to businesses. Small and medium-sized enterprises and informal sector have been the worst hit, and this is the lifeblood of the African economy. According to the World Bank statistics from December 2020, 80% of jobs, a huge amount. Given the importance of SMEs to African economies, the topic today and the underlying question I'll be asking all our speakers to touch on is that given the importance of SMEs to African economies, how can led businesses survive, thrive, and add value to their communities in these difficult times? I'm sure this is a question on most of our minds. We're moving on to a third speaker now. A third speaker is Mujidah Ajibola, someone who I know personally. She is a sustainability researcher and an educator based in Abuja, Nigeria. She works with schools, businesses, and communities to integrate environmental responsiveness and social inclusion in her activities. She is the founder of Sustainability Hub Nigeria, a social enterprise committed to teaching, inspiring, and leading people and organizations in developing skills, attitudes, and knowledge necessary to transition to sustainable practices. As we think about the context in which we are today, and the context of trying to make our businesses as small and medium-sized enterprises sustainable, we welcome Mujidah to the lectern. Over to you, Mujidah. So we now have a sustainability expert, Mujidah, back with us. Thank you for clearing up your sound, and I hand the virtual mic over to you. Mujidah.
Okay, thank you very much. So quickly to the topic of sustainability, a new business advantage. And we are going to start this by explaining what the term sustainability actually means. Sustainability is at the nexus of economic growth, environmental management, and social inclusion. This can also be paraphrased as profit, planet, and people. And it ensures that we consider the three variables in everything we do, both at the household and business levels. So that means even in purchasing a commodity, probably you want to buy a can of milk, you think about the environmental implications, such as the effect of the production or consumption of such a commodity, the effect it has on the environment, climate change, and the overall health of the planet, as regards how it affects us, animals and plants and all of that. You also look at the social aspects of producing or consuming such a commodity. Things such as whether or not children were exploited in the production of such a commodity, and a lot of other things that we will see as we progress. Close to this sustainability is sustainable development, which has been globally defined as the ability of the current generation to meet their own needs without jeopardizing the ability of future generations to meet their own needs too. While these terms are very, they are closely related and they are sometimes used interchangeably, it's worthy to note that sustainability is the actual concept, and that is the goal that everybody strives to achieve, while sustainable development is a framework that has been designed by global leaders for countries to achieve sustainability. So please, let's not see sustainability as a term or concept that has year 2030 as its expiry date. Not even sustainable development will stop existing after 2030. The SDG has basically made sustainability actionable for individuals, businesses, and countries across the world. It has broken down the word sustainability and the whole myriad of global challenges we are facing. It has broken them down into 17 goals, which I call pathways for people to take action. So right now it's easier for somebody to choose to take action on poverty eradication, underperson and gender equalities, reducing inequalities, and fighting climate change. All of these things, by the time everybody does a bit in their own sphere of influence, we all come together and we achieve the solution to the global issues we are facing as one. So, talking about bringing sustainability into business, this has been on the front burner in recent times because of the huge contribution of the private sector to national and global development. It's no news that the private sector in all countries actually drives national growth, and that's why I really appreciate Chibuike's session. And there are two schools of thought on sustainability. One school sees the environment as the most important part of the three elements of sustainability. That's what is displayed in the first picture here. We call it the nested connectivity model, where we feel, okay, the business and the society all exist within the balanced ecosystem, and without the balanced ecosystem, we cannot economy, because we need materials to make our goods from, not of having a peaceful and just society. And that school of thought prioritizes the environment over the society and the economy. On the other hand, the other business model that has the Venn diagram sees the three core areas as the same, and it posits that sustainability is achieved at the nexus of the three. Right. But either way, both models still agree that economic growth, environmental management, and social inclusion are key things we need to integrate in business for quality growth. By the term quality growth, we do not just mean growth in terms of numbers. We don't mean growth in terms of GDP now. We're talking about growth that considers human capital, that considers welfare of people and the host community where the business thrives, as well as growth that considers the conservation of natural resources. So, getting down to sustainability in business, this can take two different forms. We can choose to integrate sustainability into general business operations, and we can actually run an eco-friendly business. Not all businesses will be primarily eco-friendly businesses. So they are usually more general businesses than core eco-friendly businesses. But these general businesses too, as they are, they can integrate sustainability into them, because at the end of the day, integrating sustainability into business benefits even the shareholders, because most of the time we tend to rate the shareholders in economics as the sole aim of getting into business, because we want to give them profit at the end of the day, which is very fine. But we are now beginning to see that embracing sustainability is even one of the things that drive more profit for businesses. And looking at this, it means that we are going to factor in three major indicators in integrating sustainability into general business operations. These three major indicators are usually called ESG. ESG, short for environmental, social, and governance considerations. You would realize that the economic aspect is not mentioned here, because the process of profitability is not a new one to everybody, as Chibuike has also highlighted in some parts of his presentation. In fact, conventional profitability works at the expense of the environment and society, and that is what we are trying to change right now. We are trying to change the narrative. So let me quickly pick them one after the other. The environmental aspect of business relates to transitioning to low carbon operations with things such as waste management. Dijo mentioned somebody in Ghana, EcoFeed, that was using animal waste and has a way of using it for to make sustainable products. That is an example rather of proper waste, one of the waste management measures we can take, instead of allowing these things rot and constitute health challenges to the environment. We can pick these things up and make other things from them. Another thing is for us to embrace the 3 R's. These are very common. We call them reduce, reuse, and recycle. You reduce your consumption, and when you're done, you don't just use a particular commodity or a product once and then think, oh, that's all for the product. When you are done, you think about what other things can be done with that particular particular product you are trying to throw away, because at the end of the day there is no away. When you say you're throwing something away, you are just pushing the problem forward. You're taking it away from where you are to another destination where it still becomes a problem. So other things that are very actionable for us as individuals, even in our small businesses and our private lives, include using less paper. Papers are made from trees, and the more paper we use, the more trees that will be cut. And there are a lot of advantages of trees to our existence, whether we understand it or not. Trees are very, very integral to human existence. Let's not go too deeply into that. Yeah, and we'll continue by also looking at using renewable energy instead of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels include the fuels gotten from crude oil. We have a lot of carbon that are emitted into the atmosphere, and it's very, very dangerous to human health. And another way we can integrate these into our business is trying to switch into solar power or windmills to power our businesses. And we can also reduce staff travel, because we know that one of the sectors that contribute hugely to climate change is the transport business. So when people travel, they use they use materials, products that are usually based on fossil fuels. So by the time we reduce our staff travel, we play our own quota in reducing the amount of fuel that is used, and ultimately the amount of carbon emissions we have. For the social consideration, we talk about the human beings who come in contact.
Sugar, I think we lost Mujidah. Okay, Mujidah is back. Awesome. Mujidah, can you unmute yourself and try again if your network is better?
Yeah,
awesome, awesome.
So whether or not we know it, people in our host communities are very, very integral to the growth of our businesses. And while the governance consideration talks about corporate governance, we also have other things like structure of the business, and this is where a lot of entrepreneurs get it wrong. Financial accountability, nepotism, vendor management, and all that. For instance, right now there are companies where the finances of that business are not separate from that of the owner. Sometimes directors come to borrow indiscriminately from the business account, and you hear things like, "Hey, accountant, can I have 100,000 naira from there?" And the accountant, because he believes that the director or the founder is at the helm of the affairs, he cannot even advise constructively. He just says, "Okay, sir, okay, ma," and then the person goes out business cash for the director's private use without going through due process. These kinds of things kill businesses. Another thing is nepotism, and all these things have huge potentials of making a business succeed or fail. And as such, investors and stakeholders are now scrutinizing these indicators before investing in businesses. So as we grow our businesses, whether we have small businesses or we have medium scale businesses, we should integrate this thing, no matter how small you are, from the point you are conceiving the business idea. Think of integrating these structures in your business, because you never can tell when that business opportunity will come, when you have that funding opportunity and they will choose your business, especially if you have put in so much work into growing the business. But when it comes to the structure, they ask for some document, they ask for your business certificate of registration, they ask for your audited accounts and all of that. And then these things start to surface like a monster. And then you're like, "Oh my God, after all the effort, these people are not appreciating me." Not that they are not appreciating your efforts, but they are only trying to ensure that you are spending money in a proper manner. So The other part of this is that we can explore setting up eco-friendly or what is called green businesses. These are businesses that are primarily in the environmental and social sectors. This can be in the form of manufacturing eco-friendly products, teaching eco-friendly actions in formal and non-formal education, or providing advisory services for other companies that are in the mainstream business. So what happens is that some businesses are majorly focused on the environment and they extend their services to other companies that are not majorly focused on the environment. Some of these include Planet 3R. Is an initiative in Nigeria led by Adejoke Lasisi, a Nigerian who produces shoes, school bags, and head ties from plastic waste, essentially pure water sachets. So what we have in Nigeria is water in nylon, and then which you can drink on the go. So what she does is to, and this has it has cost us about a lot of plastic waste. It has really impacted our plastic waste every day, because it is estimated that we use about 60 million sachets of pure water in Nigeria every day, like every day. And this should not be a surprise, because we are more than 200 million. And the figure that I just quoted is about less than a third of our population. So you can see what we are dealing with looking at pure water alone. So Adejoke has started producing school bags and shoes from this pure water sachet by stringing these things into a loom, like you're weaving clothes, and weaving them using the normal local weaving method, because our mother is a weaver. So she learned weaving from her mother, and she just integrated waste management into weaving, which is a very good one. Another example is for us at the Sustainability Hub, where we engage in research, education, and training to support other entities to practice sustainability. Solar Systems is another green business that sells solar powered lamps instead of people using kerosene lamps or petrol powered generators. So these ways we reduce the quantity of fossil fuel that people use every day, which also increases their health because it reduces people's exposure to air pollution. A lot of these businesses also integrate social concerns by providing their services to underserved people. For instance, solar lamps can be sold at discounted rates or outrightly distributed to support students in low-income communities. Plastic recycling is a whole value chain on its own, from collection to aggregation, recycling, and sales. Finally, other examples include waste-to-energy solutions, biogas, composting, organic agriculture, and a lot of regenerative practices. Another one is sustainable fashion, which ensures that as much as we are growing, we are consciously growing. Because at the end of the day, if we not grow consciously, the negative effects of our unconscious or indiscriminate growth will be what will pull down that growth that we have worked all years to achieve. So sustainability is something that I think everybody should look at integrating in their personal and business lives especially, and we can not underestimate the advantages we stand to gain from it. Thank you.
I mean, we've ended with a kind of a mic drop moment on, summarizing everything we've been talking about, but also having in mind environmental sustainability and stability across the board, across businesses. Thank you so, so much, Mujidah. This has been a really enriching presentation. The only thing I would say is I wanted more. I've heard ESG is an evolving term that a lot of companies are starting to take into consideration, and there's still a lot to develop about including ESG measures into businesses. I think that as big companies struggle to integrate these, even as small companies now, we can start thinking of this so that it doesn't become a problem when we get bigger. Okay, guys, you've heard it from Mujidah. Are there any questions? Because this was a really full and really interesting presentation. Yes, Petro, go ahead.
Yes, Mujidah. Wow, that was a great presentation. Thank you very much. So like my question is, now that we understand like how crucial and how important sustainable development is to us as African people and of this generation and even the future, as you say that while sustainability also looks at the future generations and yes, the environment that we have to protect. And also inviting us to to invest in this in the green business. Yeah, so my question is how is the environment of business in this like in the green business, like how much support do businesses, small businesses that call themselves green business get from both the governments or other bigger organizations that already exist. Yeah, because while you invite us to invest in this business, but then if there's no enough support, if this business is not profitable to us, well, there is that fear of like, well, why should we invest in this if we don't get money? Because well, when you do business, you have a business mind and you profit driven, or though we don't have to like be profit driven when we're doing the green business, but the idea is there is to like make money and also sustain yourself. So like how do you answer that question? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Petro. You have mentioned something very, very profound, and it's usually a source of concern for people. I would like to tell you that green business is profitable. The first thing is this: right now, the world is shifting. There's a shift that is going on. People, from investors to consumers, they are beginning to be more conscious of the environment. They're beginning to be more conscious of what goes into the commodities that they consume. This is not just limited to food. The very common examples we have is people looking at eating organic food, people looking at growing their own food locally to be sure that they minimize or they can manage the quantity of chemicals that go into the food in terms of fertilizers, pesticides, and all of that. That tells you that there is a wave that is coming. And right now, there is so much that goes into green business. There are a lot of funds that, in terms of global investments, that go into green businesses. We have green funds, financial instruments, there are bonds, and there are people that are really ready to invest in it. A very good example is Elon Musk. You know, recently he came up with this invention of an electric car, and what did we see happen to his business in about 2 weeks? He became the richest man in the world because people invested massively in that. That tells you that people are already thinking in their minds. People already want this shift, but they're only waiting for the right businesses. Another person, like I mentioned earlier, is this lady in Nigeria that makes shoes from pure water sachets. She won in 2020. She won the National MSME Award. She got a car and she got funding for her business. And that really propelled her business. And right now, even on LinkedIn, she's there selling her business to the world. You may not know how much of this happens because she won't come and show you a statement of account or something. But then I can tell you that green businesses are profitable. Personally, I run the sustainability hub, and as much as we don't even have physical products, we do soft things like training, advocacy, and advisory services. I know that we are making profit, and I've been part of 2 global accelerators that have funded us. One is restricted, they told us what to do with the fund. The other one was just unrestricted, just ensure that the fund is going towards your business. So these are funds that can help people to grow. And in terms of sales, so people are beginning to look after their health. People are beginning to say, oh, we don't want to die, we don't want to continue inhaling carbon. So we are looking at buying solar powered lamps instead of moving away. And that means we are moving away from fossil fuels. So when that demand naturally increases, what happens? Your business also grows because you make more profit. So yes, I can confidently tell you that green business is profitable, and especially because it really does not have so many players right now. So the few people in green business are cashing out, trust me. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, you did. Wow, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mujidah. I also have a question. If there are no other questions, I have a question that I face in my industry, which is the energy sector. Now, in the energy sector and the extractive sector is one of the most polluting in the world, and this is a question that a lot of businesses are now asking. So the issue of, I like the fact that you started with, sustainability being activity, and mention profit, planet, people. And for us in our work, we use 3 E's. So economy, ecology, and equity, or economy, environment, and energy, and how these can work together. But I just wanted to ask you, if you are for companies that pollute. So if we're talking on a small scale, where a household is planning to shift from buying a generator, for example, to switching to solar panels, that helps a lot. But if we really want to reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the long term, we have to target big companies that are polluting a lot. Target companies that are like the automobile industry, where gazillions of the fossil fuels are consumed. We have to target companies that actually produce fossil fuels, like countries like Shell, BP, Exxon, etc. So my question is this, and this is a question that countries face, but companies also face. In situations where the bottom line or the profits of some companies is linked to pollution, how do they switch up their business models? I'm just going to use an example of Nigeria, for example, where the economy, or 75% of the GDP, is based on oil extraction and production and extraction. If you tell Nigeria to stop producing and keep the oil in the ground, they wouldn't do that because that's their bread and butter. How do you encourage a transition towards a green economy with stranded assets in question?
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yes.
Please do.
Okay, thank you very much. I like that you asked that question because it is a very practical one and one that we are actually facing. Like, we know this is real. So, in terms of companies transitioning, especially for companies that are majorly fossil fuel companies, and let me start with the companies. We have seen that it will take a lot of wherewithal for companies, because that's where they make their money from. A lot of people are employees of these companies, and a lot of countries are actually gaining from the existence of these companies. But then, because they are seeing that there's a lot of backlash now going into companies that are fossil fuel based, we have an example of a company like Total that is now looking at Total Energy, and Total is now rebranding, like we have seen in the last 3-4 weeks. Total has rebranded, and now they are called Total Energy. And because of that, they are trying to tell us that they are no longer Total that is just fixed on fossil fuels, but they are investing massively in solar power. So I think it's all in the communication. We need to let people understand that we are not sending you out of business. We are only saying that, can you transition? Can you, adaptability is a core part of human existence and also business sustainability. So we are saying, can you just pivot from using fossil fuels to generate that same energy into using cleaner sources of energy? So we're not sending them away, we're not sending them out of the energy ecosystem. We're only asking them to change their source of raw material. And I think that with more advocacy, with more investment in green energy, they would see a need for this. I was very happy and excited the day I saw Total Energy rebrand, and I read the whole thing behind it. I know ExxonMobil too is looking into that direction, although it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen all of a sudden. It's going to take decades. Like I told people, we didn't get here in one day. We got here over centuries. So it's not going to happen all of a sudden. But by the time we continue to mount pressure, by the time they see more investment, at the end of the day, business owners want profit. So by the time more investment starts swinging to the area of green funds, naturally they would gravitate towards green funds. And the more challenging part is for countries such as Nigeria, that is not just making money from fossil fuel, but because it's a country that has fossil fuel as a major part of its GDP. So that means we may not even have any substantial national income if we tell ourselves to stop fossil fuel today. So what we can do is to keep advocating for diversification. Before fossil fuels, there was Nigeria, and there was a thriving economy for Nigeria. So after fossil fuels, there should still be Nigeria. We've got like this is a known fact. We've got lots of like overabundance of natural resources, overabundance of human capital. So what we just need to change our mindset from is the get rich quick syndrome, because I tell you, fossil fuels is like, it's like magic. It brings this instant cash, right? So we need to go back and look at other natural resources that we can responsibly use to make more products that can also generate income for us. Before we got oil in Nigeria, before we discovered oil in Nigeria, we had thriving economies on agriculture, on other solid minerals. So we can also go back to this, and I believe that with time it will work. And I also realize that the political will is very, very important. All this we are talking about will all just be stories if the political will is not there. And that's why a lot of our work has to also do with policy influencing and engaging stakeholders, especially in business and private sector, to make them see what we are saying, and then also believe that we need to transition over time. But then it all starts with steps. We're not asking them to shut down the economy right now in 2021, but we can start investment in other areas now to cushion the effect for that time in history where we would shut down on fossil fuels. Thank you.
That was a really, really complete answer. Thank you so much. So we need political will. There was Nigeria before fossil fuels, and we can't do this with the right people around the table and with political will. I see that second speaker, I think Chibuke, has a question. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chugo. It's not a question. I just wanted to consolidate on Mojidah's last question, how countries will navigate towards sustainable energy or green energy. I think the only thing that we need to realize is that we need to start investing in technology. We have not been investing in technology. One day we will wake up and realize that the whole world have stopped using fossil fuel, and then the oil that we brag about will no longer be used, and then it becomes a problem for us. It will be more disastrous if we wake up and nobody is buying the crude oil from us. That will be more disastrous. So I think, like she said, in policy influencing and all that, it will begin to invest in technology. We will even grow past the fossil fuel, and is going to be advantageous to us because we would naturally navigate to the new system and don't have to think about what kind of money we're making from the old system. Thank you.
Great point, Joe. We have to really have to move with the times, and the times are changing towards sustainability. We have a question from Joe.
So okay, it's not really a question, but as we speak about sustainability and cutting back on emissions and all that, I just wanted to add to it that that the emissions that we generate from our homes or from our houses are really significant. So if you look at each household, in places, like Cape Town, where we use heaters, and we have air conditions in Ghana, Nigeria. We have we leave the lights on, we leave TV on standby mode, computers on. These all are emitters, and they are all adding up to the global warming and climate change. So I think from the individual level and the household level, we should also think through this and cut back on emissions. Yeah, I just wanted to chip that in.
Yeah, definitely. You can't have group movement if we don't make decisions to start individually. Thank you so much. We are running out of time. So thank you so much for those of you who stayed with us till the end. It has been a long one, but a very enriching and very insightful one. We have a lot of next steps from each of the speakers. So from Mr. Effu, we have to find out more about the AFCFTA and how small businesses can engage. This is done through the AFCFTA website. You can go on there and ask questions and look for how you can engage or you can profit from this. From Chibuike from Sound Minds, he ran through the gamut of how to create a business and how to engage with competitors, etc. I had my pen and paper out during that time and it was really engaging. Thank you so much. From Joseph from Voice One Africa. I mean, there are so many nuggets there that I think we even have an assignment, and I hope that we see a lot of your emails coming in on how you want to engage with any of the consortiums mentioned. And from Mujidah, we have Think Sustainability, Think Profit, People, and what now? Profit, people, and what? Who was listening?
Planet.
That's actually the most important. Thank you. And how we can start thinking of on an individual level, but also at a company level, how we can move or transition and not be left behind. Thank you so much to all our speakers and all our participants who stayed to the end. If you have any other question or comment or want to stay in touch with Voice One Africa, just send an email either to Joseph or to the email in the chat box, and you will receive a response of how to engage more. For all those who engage on the chat box, hats off to you. Thank you so much. So that we don't take up the whole Sunday evening, we'll just like to say thank you. Have a good weekend and a great week ahead. Thank you so much.